everyone. My name is Jeanette Ramos, and I'm the founder and CEO of It Takes a Village Housing. It Takes a Village Housing is a nonprofit organization geared towards helping mothers get the services that they need to raise their children. It's going to provide not only drug treatment services for our mothers, but mentors for our children, home economics for our mothers. This is going to be a one-stop shop that's going to provide for our families. Drugs and alcohol seem to be a big part of our society, and how we eradicate that will be based upon what we do for this population. We're always looking for donations. Help us out with those donations. Anything that you can give would be a great help. We're always looking for beds. We're looking for toiletries. We're looking for money. And anything that you can provide us would be of great help. So if you're willing to provide this population with a second chance at life, check out my website at ittakesavillage1.org, or you can email me at ittakesavillagem@gmail.com. Here's to It Takes a Village Housing, and I look forward to meeting with each and every one of you.
You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome to Divine Encounters. I am your show hostess, Dominique Rivera, and I am barefaced because a girl was working that land today. Man, these city hands will never be the same after being here in the Appalachian Mountains. Check out this beautiful view. There's a stream. We're live streaming next to a live stream. Get some food for thought for that. Today is Wednesday night, and you know what that is. It's supernatural story time. Super excited to be here. Thank you, everybody. Hello, Ms. Jeanette. Welcome. And hello, Mr. Daniel. Also, welcome. And thank you, everybody, so much for being here. I have a great guest today, and I'm going to be introducing him in just a moment. But if this is your first time watching, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and do all the chef's kiss on all of the platforms. Hello, Mr. Doug. And so in this episode today, as with every single Wednesday night, we introduce someone who is going to bring you an inspirational, eye-opening, and maybe even take this conversation even further into your homes so that you all can see what the unseen looks like through the perspective of someone else, and maybe even unfold something what you thought was impossible and create a possibility out of it. All right, so we're going to be bringing on our guest today, and that's going to be Mark Hattas, and I'm super excited. We also met divinely, so I mean, this is just exceptional. And yeah, let's bring him on. So go ahead and give our guest that thumbs up, the heart, share this feed, because there might be a message in here that may be for someone else. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I'm super happy to have you here.
And hi out to Jeanette and Dano, who I know and appreciate tuning in.
Oh, and I feel all the hugs and the feels from that. Love you guys, hearts. So Mark, could you just let everybody know at home just a little bit about yourself in this moment?
Yeah, so I am at home. I've got 5 children. One's grown, married, business kind of guy, built and sold a tech company, and then transitioned into kind of performance coach after going through a mental health challenge that was quite extraordinary for about 3 years. And thankfully, on the other side of that, and throughout, before that, and then throughout it, and now especially after, but in a more grounded way, the mystical, the spiritual, the supernatural, if you will, I call it mystical, have the experiences have been off the charts, and I enjoy sharing them, because it's inspiring, I think, to allow for people to see, like, hey, look, we can all have these experiences. We all will have these experiences when we go on our inner journey. It's going to happen. It's part of it.
It is part of it, as long as you're open and willing to receive and surrender, for sure. Oh, wonderful. I like to start off every single episode of Mark with what's good. And this is basically a message for the collective for the day. And if you guys keep seeing my fingers, it's because I'm doing this through technology phone today and not my laptop and my regular camera. All right, so we're going to do what's good. This is the collective message for today. And just a little bit of I just want to present that these messages usually fall in alignment with the story that's to come. Now, mind you, I actually never hear anybody's stories once they come on. I like to be surprised. So, all right. So here, what I have to say about this is what's good? Alrighty, today's card is, let's see if the glare will work with us. The Eight of Materials. I'm already loving this card. The Eight of Materials, whittling destiny. She spins her roses with the proficiency of a master weaver, stringing together their beauty and her craftsmanship in a tale of success and satisfaction. Finding flow in work and taking pride in the task is the life and breath of this muse. She helps seekers stay the course as they persist and persevere in order to build the skills they need. Your body of experience will be necessary to live the life of your dreams. Your consistency and your patience matter. Your efforts, your mastery, and your hard work matter. Every time you seek to improve your creation, it matters. Continue to build and expand. This muse can get so caught up in her spinning roses that she can forget to take a breath. So take time to smell the flowers, sweet spinner. And here's the little poem for today. The little poem for today is an idea come to life right here. A soulful driven trade. Spirit wants its plans unleashed, and hearts want something made. An unsaid vow of bartered truths, with both sides winning most. The delicate exchange of muse and maid, an idea and her host. Ooh, I got goosebumps off of that. Mark, how are you feeling about this Eight of Materials today?
Well, I love it, and I love the idea of the spinning roses. And I've got quite a few stories actually that relate to that. Uh, one of the areas, I know this isn't story time, but one of the areas that has really been helpful for me is to experience, kind of the divine in unusual ways. And I'm not the only one who's experienced this. I know it could be very common, but at certain times in my life, I've smelled roses, and it's really brought a lot of peace to me. When there were no roses there, I should say that, no physical roses, but it was almost like someone put a bouquet of roses right up under my nose. And it was extremely meaningful for me in those moments. So that's what resonated as you were talking about that.
That's beautiful. And I agree. I have also smelled the roses. And one of the realities of that occurred when I went to see and get my blessing from Padre Pio in Italy last year. It was a divine scent of roses, and that's symbolic of the divine being present with us or around us. And yes, it definitely, for me as well, it brought a big sense of peace and a knowing I'm not alone, I'm supported, and we're here to do the thing, and they're here to help us do the thing.
Exactly. Love it. I like that.
Love this. Thank you for that, for sharing that. And Daniel says, wow, smelling roses when they aren't there. Powerful. Yes. So I'd like to, before we jump into your story time, Mark, is first check where we are at right now in this moment. So it's important to create a framework in our daily lives that we recognize where are we. We need to make sure that we are recognizing, am I sad? Am I happy? Am I elated? Am I joyful? And then I'd like to quantify that with a number from 1 to 10, 1 being this is the least amount of energy I can have, 10 the most that I can have. So where are you at in this moment? But don't tell me just yet. You guys at home, take a moment, assess, let us know in the comment section below. Where are you at from 1 to 10? Woof, woof. All right, Mark, where are you at now?
I am at a 7.
Okay. Anything coming with that? Any type of recognition of any emotions or?
I'm feeling really good. I just came off of a program that I was leading with a group. We were doing some generational type healing, and it was really well received and a lot of fun. And so I felt coming off of that right into this, very good. So I think 7 for me. It's like I'm rocking it. I'm grounded. I'm here. I love it.
Great. I was really excited to have you on today, and I'm at a 9. I'm like really like happy that you're here, that we get to share this time. I
Oh,
always
thanks.
love having conversations with you, so I'm really glad that you get
You
to
too.
share the thing that I love the most, and I'm here. So let's see what the audience has to say. And Dano's at a 9 exclamation point. Jeanette is also at a 9. April, wonderful to see you. 7. Content and provided for, even though no job at this moment. Still love you. Hello, friend. All right. So let's go ahead now. And what we're going to do is that 8 of materials is going to be our guide today for our breathing exercise. So what we're going to do is 1 minute of breathing together. So you're going to hear a bell. Close your eyes, everybody, and just follow the sound of my voice. 60 seconds on the clock. Eyes are closed. Breathing in the vibration of success. Exhaling anything that steps in the way of that. Breathing in self-made wealth. Letting go of any programming, beliefs, contracts, soul agreements that get in the way of that. Breathing in independence. Breathing in the energy of enjoying time alone. Enjoying the fruits of your labor. Lavishness, contentment, prosperity, comfort, sophistication. And lastly, breathing in, brimming with joy, and just feel that energy and just notice where it falls inside of your body. Notice anything that arises that wants to shift and just give it permission with the exhale, releasing what no longer serves you. Finally, coming back into our heart space and just giving a second of gratitude. Thank you, heart. Namaste, everyone. And you can gently open your eyes, come back to the here and the now, and just notice where you're at energetically. And share with us anything that you felt in your body, outside your body, anything come to mind, hot, cold, tingling, pressure, release. And what number are you now? So, Mark, this is for you first.
I would say I'm at an 8. Yeah, that was really nice. I feel that there was a peace, kind of calming that came there. So yeah, feel more centered.
I feel pink.
Now, can you see colors? Are you one of those people that can see colors?
Sometimes I can
Yeah.
see colors sometimes, but it's definitely not my strongest suit.
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you want to know, you're orange right now.
Am I?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean?
Your orange is your sacral. That is your pleasure center. Joy comes from there too. Desire, passion, all come from these places. Creation comes from these places.
Oh, cool. Nice.
It's a good, powerful, solid color. All right, let's see where you guys are at today. Let's see. Weekly dose of Daniel says 9.5 now. Felt high, successful vibrations in my chest. And so that I say, let's go.
Piano's always a 9.5
He is.
or a
He just
10.
needs. Yeah, he just needs to walk around with his shirt that says I'm at a 10.
Yeah, I'm a 10.
And then Janet, she is at a 9. Let's go. Oh my goodness. I could just hear this in your voice. Miss you guys so much. All right, wonderful.
Jeanette's doing some rocking things in the world. I mean, changing the planet in terms of, child's, children. And wow. I mean, that would be a 10 right there for me.
Jeanette is definitely a 10, and not just doing the things in the world, but like it's happening in multi dimensions. Jeanette, I'm watching you. We're watching you. We see you rocking out and doing all the things. Oh, thank you, Mark. How sweet. April says she moved in a positive direction and she's at an 8. Loving this for you. And for April, when we're off this call or off this show, check the reflexology chart for this fang tooth and see where that's connected in your body because you have a congestion right there. Daniel says, you guys are awesome. So much good energy here. I love it. Yes. Love, love, love. All right. And it's about to get more higher. So you guys better get your water, get your popcorn, get the kitties, get everybody here because you guys already know we're about to do the supernatural story time. And I don't want you to miss not even a drop of this deliciousness. So go grab everybody. All right. Are y'all doing it? I mean, Mark, are they doing it? Can you tell me if they're doing
it? Go do it. You'll enjoy it. They're fun.
Go do it. All right. Fantastic. So as you guys are doing that, shout out to our sponsor, Mandala Springs, who's letting us film here all summer long. Super excited. So we're going to go into this real quick commercial, and then we're going to get into this supernatural story time.
Imagine a verdant paradise that stands as a convergence of worlds, a living temple of native wilderness, a place where the full potential of inherent human and earth magic can be seen, felt, and understood. A space that attracts the brightest and best of educators on the leading edge. A place of permaculture designed for the benefit of future generations.
And with a roaring clap of thunder, we are here with your supernatural story time. Mark, I'm just gonna let you start this wherever you feel it's the most natural.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I've got dozens and dozens of stories, and I even jotted down a couple that I thought, oh, maybe I'll share these. But the one that comes to mind most is when I was in a real tough situation, and I was actually talking with my business partners, and there was a challenge. It was 2006 or 7, could have been 7. And at the time, I was saying the rosary very frequently. And so, but I just couldn't navigate this particular conflict that we were having in our partnership. I woke up 4 or 5 in the morning, went downstairs, and I typed a note on my computer that is one of those nasty notes, like getting all the frustration and anger out. And thankfully, I knew better than to send it. So when I felt complete, I went back to bed. And I lay down in the bed and I started to say the rosary. And so one of the things that occurred was I felt this pressure in my ear build, and I was fighting it, like, oh, it's kind of strange. And I would fight it and then just go back to the rosary. And this thought came to mind. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to let it do what it's going to do. And it was the most interesting thing. So imagine my hand is an eardrum, and it started to bend back and forth slowly at first. And it kind of hurt. And then it started going faster and faster and faster and faster and sped up like until there was this open space And in that open space, I heard a female voice who I knew to be, at the time, I thought, well, maybe this is St. Teresa, because I had a special love for St. Teresa. Could have been Mary, but it was this female voice that spoke the following words, and I heard them with my outer ear, just as if you were saying them. But I'm in my bedroom, my wife's next to me asleep, and there's no one there that I could see. And the words were, Mark, everything's going to be okay. And
Mm.
upon hearing those words, every cell in my body just vibrated. And this calming peace, this just warm love, came across my body. And I started to laugh like, oh, wow, I had never up to that point had quite that direct of an engagement where I could hear a voice through my ear, and to have that whole experience. So as I calmed down, I smiled and I said, hey, just so I don't think I'm crazy when I wake up, I think I said, St. Teresa, would you do that again? Or Mary, would you do that again? And instantly my ear started to vibrate again. And I heard this gong, as if, those big, gongs. And it was that sound in my room. And again, the peace came over me. And it was true. Within the matter of days, all the things that I was so worried about just fell away. And we came to new understandings, new agreements, and moved forward together. And it was really quite powerful. That's my first story.
Wow. So this was an external clear audience experience. And it sounds like not only did you give you clarity, but it shifted your cellular at a cellular level where you could then move forward and create peace for yourself and for others.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. And it's interesting. So you feel like you said both names that night?
No, I said one, but it was like I think I might have said Saint Teresa, um, and because it was I was studying a lot about Saint Teresa, and I had a friend who said, "Hey, Saint Teresa of Avila is around you," um, who's a 16th century mystic, by the way. And so, in hindsight, it's like the mind can get in there. It's like, well, was it Saint Teresa or was it Mary? Because I was saying the Rosary, so I don't know.
That's interesting. I like to say it's the first instinct.
Saint
It's
Teresa was the first instinct.
yeah, that definitely is because sometimes they give us a knowing without us having to create this logic around it. It's just a knowing.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll go with that.
And ultimately, even if it was praying for Rosary for Mary, they're all mothers. They are all mothers. The ladies of graces are all mothers.
I have a fondness of saints. I think that ever since I was a kid, I was just like, saints are the bomb. That was they were my rock stars and sports heroes. I was more interested in the saints for some reason.
Not for some reason. We now know. We now know you're divine. You were being divinely guided by them. All right, so that's story number one. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. What
Absolutely.
What would you like to share now?
I think I'm going to share the story, and I think this is for everybody. This was at a time when I would say I was just learning to trust my intuition, which I now have a real healthy relationship with. But at the time, I was just kind of at those early stages. I think this story might be really helpful for people. And I started out by just praying every morning. I said, hey, you know what? I surrender, because I realized every time I tried to control something, I'd mess it up. I'd create, drama or dynamics that I really didn't want. And so one day when a couple of things had fallen apart, I just said, hey, you know what? I'm done. I surrender, and I was surrendering into love, to God, to source, and like, guide me, show me which direction to go in. And after I was practicing that for a while, our family took a vacation. We were out in Naples. It was Thanksgiving, and we cleaned up from Thanksgiving dinner, and I went and sat on the couch, and the kids were younger and running around. And this was 2010. And I kind of leaned my head back, and I heard this inner voice. So it wasn't an outer voice, it was the inner voice. And it essentially said, hey, when you go back to the office, offer to buy my business partner out. And we had kind of gotten to a point where it's like, we needed something to change, not between us, but we just had a dynamic in the company that something needed to change a little bit. So that was what came. By the way, to add to this, 3 years earlier in 2006, I had received an inner voice message to sell the company. It was like,
Oh.
sell the company and do this. And the words were to become a priest, although I am Catholic and I'm married, and what does priest mean? So priest meant some concept to me, but I just said, hey God, if that's going to happen, show me the way. And like clockwork, a lot of things happened from 2006 into 2010 here. So here this inner voice says, go offer to buy my partner out, when the message had been that I was the one to sell, right? So I go back and say, hey, I've been thinking about this. I'd like to buy you out. And I was shocked at the response. And I won't get it verbatim, but it was essentially, he said, no. He had concerns about what I was going to do with the company. And we had 150 employees. We were doing about 20 million in revenue. So it wasn't a tiny company, but it was, there was some meat to it, right? And he turned around in the same conversation and said, how about if I buy you out? And it was one of those moments where I don't know what I looked like on the outside, but on the inside, there was this joy. And I did tell him, I said, let me go talk to my wife and get back to you. And so I went home and let my wife Liz know. And she said, well, it's your company. What do you want to do? And like, I want to sell. So within a week, we had all the paperwork done, had the agreements all in place. And he had asked me to stick around for about 6 months. And what's interesting is about 12 months earlier, 14 months earlier or so, we had done a vision exercise. And on the board, I wrote out that I wanted to sell within that period of time for a certain amount of money, and only be asked to stick around for 6 months. And all of that came true. It was the exact pretty much amount of money that I had put on the board that I was going to be receiving, or that the buyout was. So that's my next story here. And I'll conclude with, the interesting part about that inner voice is, I didn't know that inner voice to be me. At the time, I thought this is something outside of me. And that was 2010, right? So now it's 2022. And my experience now is there's an integration process that's happened over the years, where now that voice is one with me, and there's no more division in the communication. There's very, very much a clarity that hadn't been there most of my life. So trust the intuition, because it's going to lead you to the restoration, so that there is one clear voice, so that you are whole. And that's my second story.
So trust your intuition. What would be the advice or the guidance on learning to trust someone's intuition who's just developing? How does a person trust something that they can't discern?
So I'll share that I didn't necessarily have a straight line for this, and what I did isn't going to be necessarily what is good for everybody, but I will share the following. Ask the question in a way that you can best receive it. So if you're an artist, you might surrender your pen and say, hey, show me through my pen, what it is that, is optimal for me right now. If you're more of an auditory, like I am, or a visual, like, hey, show me a picture of what's optimal for me today. And you might see a person, right, that you want to connect with, or you might see a place to go, or whatever it might be. But over time, that strengthens. And so some of the early gifts, you want to know what your strength is. And let go of any idea that it should be like someone else. So we were talking earlier, and you could see orange around me. So if I hung on to, well, I'm no good unless I can see colors, then I'm inhibiting my own gifts and abilities and restricting their growth, because I keep seeking something other than what I already have. And so checking in is really easy to just ask, like, show me. Now you can do that in a number of different ways, as I was sharing, but check in, like, hey, how would you most likely receive it? Are you a writer? Are you a singer? One of the things that I like to do is I'll go for walks and I'll talk to myself, and I'll just say, hey, God, I love you, or universe, I love you. And, is there anything, from within my spirit that I need to be aware of? Is there anything I've resisted? I'm willing to see it. And invariably I might have a little energy move, maybe some emotion where I had some charge where I had resistance, but then I might get words that come. Just this last week, I was doing this, and a location came up to move to this location. And I
Mm.
thought, well, that's interesting because I've never been to that location. And so I came home and I shared it with my wife, and I said, what do you think of visiting this place? And, let's go check it out. And she is very open to it. And we'll see. Maybe we land and get to this place and we both fall in love and realize, like, this is the place for us, for the next so many years. So it's that kind of thing. When we're given early insights, it's probably going to be small, but the more we act on it, the more we're going to receive. If we fail to act on things, then we have some learning to do, but we'll get many more chances. It's not like, oh, you missed it, so gong, you're done. It's more like, hey, we're nurturing you, so that the fullness of you can really come alive, and the full expression of your life force can come out into the world.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. And I hope you all received that at home. I know I definitely did. All right, so we have one more story to go, yes?
I've got dozens, but I will only tell one more, I promise.
No, don't promise. We'll do a part two at some point. All right, let's go.
All
There's
right.
story. I'm at my edge of my seat here.
Oh my gosh. Which one do I tell? All right. So I'm going to tell, I want to tell a different story, but I'm being guided to share this story of learning how to write books. My son, who's now 16, I have 5 kids, but my youngest of 4 sons um, was 9 at the time. And our daughter was younger, and she would ask my wife, like, hey, Mom, will you tell me a story? So, or lay down with me at night. So she would go do that. And so Henry asked me to do that. So I lay down with him one night. He's like, hey, would you tell me a story? I'm like, sure. So I'm trying to make up a story about, I don't know, a frog in a tree or something. And it was not very good, but passable. And then the next night he asked me, and then the next night, and he kept asking, and I'm starting to run out of stories, right? So then I hear this inner voice say, don't tell him a story, allow a story to come. And instantly I allowed it, and my lips began to move. So, but there was this inner force moving them. It was as if someone in me was moving them. Now I know it now to be me. So it's the core essence of the purity of my beingness that, came forward and started moving my lips. But my lips start to move and words start to come out. And I recorded it, by the way, because I thought something's going on here. I want to capture this. And it was the best story I'd ever told. But I didn't know what his experience was. So I said, hey, Henry, what'd you think of that? So at the end, he used to suck his fingers. He takes his fingers out of his mouth and he says something like, Dad, give me a thumbs up first. He said, Dad, that was really good, but it's just going to get better. I know you're just learning. And I got chills when I heard that. I'm like, wait a minute, you're 9? Like, where are you getting this from? Like, he knew something happened, like something was happening, and he spoke from that clear place. Well, I received it, and that started a massive growth period where the essence of me started to really come forward, and the false part of me, the part that I tried to keep alive as much as I could, that part that pleased people and wanted to be liked and those kinds of things, that started to die away. And it didn't happen in a moment. It happened over time, but it did lead to me becoming very effective in my coaching. And it did also lead to writing several books. I've got, I think, 5 books. I've got 3, 4 more in the works. And I remember the first book I wrote called Awakening the Optimal Leader, which is a precursor to my most recent one, Awakening Your Optimal Workforce. And it came through my pen, just like in preparation for anything. And I wrote down 14 numbers and 14 chapter titles. And I heard this inner voice, and I'll go to the basement and record it. I went and recorded 90 minutes or so. This whole story just came out of me. So instead of the short, like 15-minute stories I was sharing with Henry, I had this whole storyline that came out, and it became Awakening the Optimal Leader book.
So much energy. Sorry. That was a lot. It was holding
Is that
on
how
me
you
for a
shake
moment.
off the energy?
It's just kind of like flows through. Like I jokingly say that like I'm a Brita filter or organite, that it kind of just in one way and
Yes.
out the
Yeah.
other.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel that very, very somatically for sure. Wow. Whew, I'm so hot right now. So thank you for that. And I
Can
want
I
to
share
tell,
one more like 10-second
yeah,
story that's just so fun? All right. So this is a pretty trippy thing, and I thought I was crazy, and a lot of people thought I was crazy, but I had a situation where my back was pulled and the
Mhm.
muscle, I couldn't move, and no one was home, and I started to get up, and I felt these invisible hands come and roll me over and then go into my back and start stretching and repairing this muscle. And at the end, rolled me back to my back and then grabbed me by the armpits and lifted me up. And
Wait, lifted you up physically?
this is all physical. Yeah, physically, I felt these, like, physical, as if a person was in the room, physically rolled me over, repaired this, and then physically helped me up by my armpits. And I stood up and I looked. Of course, there's no one there, and there was no pain. Now, I was going through what some would call a spiritual awakening, but I did get diagnosed at the time as with a mental health challenge, because the experiences I was having, they were getting out of control. Now I have a better understanding of what was happening, and I'm on way on the other side of that, because that all got healed up by 2014. But when I was at my worst and thinking that I was totally insane, I got a call from a friend of mine, and he said, "Mark, do you remember that story about your back being healed and you weren't sure if it was real?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, God came to me last night and showed me it was absolutely real." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Mark, I've had back pain for years, like 10 years. And last night I woke up in a sweat and I felt these hands come on me and heal my back, and my pain is totally gone. And I thought that you needed to hear that story." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Ralph, thank you. I totally needed to hear that story." And he, and I did have a little doubt. So I did contact him months later. It might have been 6, 8 months later. I said, "Hey, can you just let me know, is your back still healed?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I haven't had any issues with it since."
I love that. I love that. And I received that. And I've witnessed this. I have surrendered to this type of experience. So this really speaks to me. Let me know at home how you're feeling about this story that Mark's sharing. Have you felt the entities or whatever they may be assist you and work with you? And maybe were you doubting them at any given point? Very interesting nonetheless. Wow. And I went to John of God in Brazil for this exact reason, to get this healing. And you guys, if you've been following me for a while, you would know I went from dysautonomia, and as of October last year, a girl, it was like Stella got her groove back, Oracle got her groove back, like, so we're on the other side of that. So I absolutely believe this story. And I think when we're in that space of, I don't know how to repair this, and I'm just gonna give myself enough trust, give enough faith, give enough hope that something that is greater than myself can intervene in this moment, and then just really be in that moment. It definitely opens and things shift. Whew,
And it
wonderful.
often shifts when we let go, when we're not trying. It's not like something you can try to have happen. It's something that occurs.
Yeah, it occurs. It definitely does. And it's not something that you force. It's something that you Lovingly
receive.
release and receive. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Oh my God, it's such a good story time. Mark, let everybody know at home all about the wonderful works that you're doing and where they can purchase and or communicate with you.
Things. We have a nonprofit called Journey's Dream that does some great work with mental health, and there's a website called Integrative Mental Health Summit.org, or you can get there through journeysdream.org. And that's coming up in October. It's October 7th, 8th, and 9th. We have 40 of the top speakers in the world on integrative mental health. It's going to be phenomenal. We did it last year. It was very well received. So we've got it coming up. So tickets are pretty inexpensive. They're $25. We wouldn't turn anybody away if you've got any financial trouble. And then another thing I wanted to share is I've got that new book, Awakening Your Optimal Workforce, which
Yay.
if you go to our website, we have a program called Optimal Being. And what we do is we measure 10 elements of well-being for somebody, and we focus a lot of energy on the lowest 3 to improve those, and it changes people's lives pretty dramatically. And it's a program that's about 16 weeks. It's pretty in-depth. But this book is a fable that goes through all 10 elements in a real, lively kind of story format, and has tons of teaching and value here. We see that organizations, is brand new. It just came out. You can see it shiny. Organizations will share this with their employees and help them have awareness of maybe some areas in their life where they need to put a little bit of attention. So this is something I encourage everybody to check out and pick up.
Wonderful. I love it. And I love to see your a phone fingers. And I love to see you thriving and creating and expanding and sharing. And that feels all very beautiful, and in alignment. Absolutely in alignment. All right. So now we have the question of the day for you, Mark. So let's see what your answer is. Question of the day. All right. So your question is, what is the biggest myth about healing?
That's a great question. The biggest myth about healing. So I'm going to give kind of a very non-traditional answer. I believe that, and I'm not saying that this is a myth. This is the truth. Everything else is a myth. So what I've experienced is the truth of healing from a mental health crisis. If someone's going through any kind of labeled thing or symptoms that are just out of the normal, what I believe is that it's resistance to the fullness of us being lived. And so what is going to lead someone to the proper doctors and care that they might need, because it doesn't mean you don't need that, but what's going to lead someone to the ones that are going to really be helpful in their life is to recognize that the first thing for us to do is let go of resistance to the truth of who we truly are. That requires not a pill. That requires introspection. That requires tools that allow for someone to have courage, to face fears, to challenge beliefs, to allow for things that they might be, or people that they might be attached to be released, so that they can free up their
Mm,
fields and allow for the true nature of them, without the expectations that had been there from maybe the time that mom told them that they'd be a great fisherman and they don't really enjoy fishing, or whatever it might be. So to really free themselves up so they can tune in and understand who they truly are, that's going to bring someone toward modalities that are going to support the body being at the highest level of vitality, and it's going to support the spirit coming back online. And as that happens, the mind kind of starts to correct and becomes more of the servant it's designed to be, rather than the master that so many have put it in position of, because that is never going to be a good leader for your life, to have your brain and your past and your history. We need to be more present, and to get there, release anything that's unlike the truth of who you are. Everything
mm.
else is a myth.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew I had to give you a hard question. So I was just like, that's perfectly answered. The visual that came as you were saying that was like a man climbing the side of like a glacier and having that rope extend with all his boxes and parcels and things, and losing stamina as he's continuing to climb. At some point, you just have to cut that cord so that way you can free yourself of that and give yourself an extra boost and allow yourself to fully reach your summit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
April says, I needed to hear that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Shayna says, that sounds like a good book. Definitely get it.
It's a good read. It's a good read.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and do the midweek collective energy check-in now. So Mark, I'm just going to pop you into the back room. You can hang out, have some aloe vera water, or have some deep breaths. And we'll go ahead and bring you back up after the reading and let us know your final thoughts. Alrighty, this is the Midweek Collective Energy Check-In. This is a reading timeless for whomever is receiving it, to be received and consumed by you. If it resonates, take it, and if it doesn't, just chuck it out the window. All right, we're hitting this up with the Four of Earth. This is kind of hard because it's glary, but it says being too frivolous or too cautious with the money, good business decisions, and giving to those less fortunate. This really falls in alignment with how Mark was receiving his first sense of intuition about asking his partner to buy him out. And then ultimately he actually winded up being on the up and up because he was actually bought out. So I like this card. We're starting off nice and strong with this. So I want to say, make sure you're trusting your intuition around your finances at this moment. Our next card is the King of Earth. This is another Earth. Earth cards are pentacles. And it says, a successful time, confidently accept opportunities you're offered, the Midas touch. King Midas was the king in mythology that when he would touch something, it would turn into gold. And if we think of gold, we think of this as a substance that has great value. And actually, many people would say, it might even be argued that it's something that has the most value, gold. So place your DNA into something, create something that is not just going to yield reward, but create value. Value for yourself, value for the world, and kind of like Jeanette, value for the collective. Loving this with the King of Earth card. We got a lot of monies cards today, pentacle cards. The Hermit, spend time in quiet meditation, spiritual teaching, and self-discovery. In order for us to know where we're going, we have to know where we're at. We have to know who we are. So recognizing is, how many parcels am I holding that I need to cut from this rope so I can finish climbing up that glacier and get to that summit? And that's only going to be done if you wield the energy of silence. Silence is a beautiful gift. And it takes practice to be in silence, to be undisturbed, to be focused, and to be with yourself. Okay? Eight of Air is our next card. And this card says, an illusion of being trapped, a lack of self-confidence, and afraid to take action. I like that this says it's an illusion of being trapped. Sometimes we say, I don't have enough time to create XYZ. I don't have enough money to take on this venture. But it's an illusion because everything is a choice. Oftentimes, we choose the easier thing. We choose the distraction. We choose to give our energy away. We choose to give our power away. So just like Mark said, cutting off, you may even have to cut off people, circumstances, or situations to be able to refocus that energy, to place it within yourself, to be able to dive within yourself, and then to be able to take positive forward action. Your next card here, everyone has values. That King Midas touch, recognizing those people in your life that are supportive, even in the nuances that they may be bringing forward. You know, everyone is human, but everyone has value. So there's no difference from the janitor to the CEO. Everyone has value. And when we can see that everyone has divinity incarnate inside themselves, we start to be kinder. We start to be softer. And as a matter of fact, we start to open and be gentler versions of ourselves. Know your truth. This is kind of echoing the Hermit card today. Know what you're holding on to, what is no longer serving you, and then really own that. It's not enough to just be like, yeah, I know this job, I hate it, I'll leave someday, XYZ. Know your truth. If it doesn't serve you, why are you holding on to it? What are you afraid of? This might be a question. These inner dialogues may lead you to questions that ultimately bring enlightenment so that you can actually move forward with the ultimate clarity. Take responsibility for your actions. Being trapped is an illusion because everything we do is a choice. So, what choices are you making that you may not really be taking accountability for? You may say, well, I'm the victim. Or if this person was nice to me, I would be more loving. Or if my job was giving me more money, then I would be a better employee. Take responsibilities for your actions. And finally, release toxic relationships. These cards are, I think Mark picked these cards preemptively and just, sent them this way because they're really mirroring everything that he just said. Okay, the Ace of Swords, that clarity is coming in. Once you do the work, tap into that inner dialogue, that enlightenment, that clarity will definitely come in. Now, that's echoing me. You'll be going into your passionate, knowing self. You see, here's the Queen of Wands. These are the Golden Girls deck. If you're wondering, that's Sophia. And she's holding the sunflower. The sunflower is the highest vibrational flower in the flower kingdom. So it embodies the energy of the sun, which is ever giving. And then we have this little kitty at the bottom, which is talking about your intuitive aspects and also independence as well. But stepping into that independence with passion, with vigor. Ten of Swords, there's something here that is dead, gone, long gone. Maybe it's a plant that you haven't watered and it's completely brown. All the branches are hard, and yet you still have it in your windowsill. Why? And then the Four of Swords, this is a time of resting, going inside, checking out that inner dialogue like Dorothy here. That way you can emerge and recognize your truths. Finally, we're going to hit you up with this Melanite card. This is Melanite, the crystal, and this is from a crystal deck that we just started using. So let's see what this particular crystal is, and if you're seeking to work with the crystal, this just may be in alignment for you. And we have here with Menelite. All right, it says, this is the wise feminine card. This has a profound connection with Earth, the wise feminine, and priestess power. It marks rites of passage through womanhood to wisdom. You are an immortal soul who is an embodiment of the wise feminine. Express this through your body and actions. Go deep into yourself to find your connection, Mother Earth. Sit in her womb of healing. In meditation, you heal your soul. Put aside fear and remember transitions are necessary prerequisites for growth. Honor your sacred sexuality. Mark rites of passage joyfully. Experience a period of gestation. To move would not be beneficial right now. Nurture yourself and bide your time. Withdraw into your inner world to accept necessary change. Make your soul whole and find power allies. You know when it is time for rebirth. Maturation is a process of growing wiser. The soul and the heart do not age. And that is your midweek collective energy check-in. Let's bring on Mark again and see if he has to share anything that may have resonated with him.
Yeah, that was great. A lot of it resonated, and you identified that. One of the things that I'm going to share with everybody are 3 exercises that they can do if they want to accomplish some of that stuff that we were talking about in those cards. That hermit, and the 4 swords, like kind of being at peace and allowing that inner knowing or inner transformation to happen. And what happens when we can really be there is our mind starts to quiet. And what emerges is some of the other stuff, the King of Earth kind of thing, where you get these insights of what to do out in the world that bring about, that Midas touch, or bring about money with the, 4 of Earth. And that was really interesting. So I'll share those. But one thing which I want to ask you, if we don't have time now, I'll have to ask you later, is the Melanite was interesting for me because it said, now's not the time to move. And that was just what I got was move to this place. So it's like, bide your time. Like, okay, well, maybe we'll move, but not right now.
That's exactly what stood out to me in that card. Like I chuckled in my mind. I said, okay, now is the time to test the water, right? But it's not the time to move. It's just time to test is what I'm feeling for this.
Well, I love that. And that's probably about where I am, but hearing that somehow gives me a little bit calmer approach. It's like, okay, there's, because there is that question that how quickly should this happen? So to hear that, it's like, okay, just allow it to happen. It's going to happen, at the appropriate time.
Yeah, you have plenty of time.
Plenty of time. So here are the three things. So how do you get to a place where you're really calm? Make your home in the breath and use any kind of breathing technique you want. But if you consciously breathe and then do the second thing, which is to let go of any hidden wounds, shames, guilts, hurts, hostilities, fears, and you allow those hidden things to come up as you breathe. The reason why
Oh no, we're frozen. Oh, we're frozen. All right, we're gonna just wait to recalibrate here. Usually, when something really wonderful is being shared, sometimes we get these interesting pockets of lag. It's almost, I know, right? It's almost like it's too good to share, but it isn't too good to share. We just have to be patient, just like that car. We lost him, revive him. Does anybody know digital CPR? Maybe that would bring him back clear. And it's hilarious because I'm the one in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains now. And like I said earlier, I'm doing this from my phone because my computer doesn't get any internet. Oh, he's completely gone. We're gonna wait for him. We're gonna wait for him just another moment. We have 4 minutes left on the clock, and I know we need to know those details, those top three. But also go check out his book. And the other book that I actually read of his was Prisoner of War. And that thing was amazing. And you can definitely get it on Amazon. And that was created during his mental health crisis. Yeah. So that is definitely a good one to go check out. It is funny. This is funny how these things do happen. And I don't know if anybody can actually hear the stream outside, but there is definitely a stream outside, right outside my window. And we can go take a look and a little side adventure. While we're in a tiny house, so tiny house. And there's a stream down there. Here at Mandala Springs. Oh, here he's back. He's back. It was too good. They don't want you to share it. That's what it is. It's too good. So go ahead. Go ahead. You got the stage now.
do we have time?
Yeah.
All right. So the three things that if you have a situation where you want to really be calm and kind of get that noise in your head to start to quiet, you want to focus on a breathing exercise. Learn whatever kind of yogic breathing or just, inhale through the mouth or box breathing. Look up a breathing technique that works best for you. And then as you do that, you want to then let the hidden hurts and pains and guilts and shames, allow those to come up as you breathe. And if you allow for that to come up as you breathe, you're going to start to release the charge. And as that charge releases, you go to the third step, which is to let go of the way that you think it was supposed to be or the way you are perceiving it to be. So you're releasing attachment to your story. But if you breathe, allow the charge that you're experiencing to subside as you breathe, and then let go of that story, what's going to happen is you're going to be comforted. You're going to have insight that comes. Your intuitive guidance is going to really start to come online as you practice just those three steps. And then the fourth thing that starts to happen is you start to get moved almost automatically toward your purpose. Things start to happen in your life that are moving you toward your life purpose, which is really extraordinary. There's actually 10 steps, but those are the first 4. And if you practice those 3 over and over and over again, your intuition is going to start to strengthen and strengthen and strengthen. And if anyone wants to learn the rest, I'm happy to come on another time and share it.
Thank you so much, Mark. You were a pleasure to have been had on this show. And I can't thank you enough. So let's wrap up this episode with what did I learn from Mark today? Con mucho amor.
Do you or someone you know experience something supernatural that has left a positive impact on yourself or the lives of others? Want to share your story on our show? Please email Divine Encounters at e360tv.com, and together, let's create divine experiences. And now, the Oracle's final thoughts con mucho amor.
So, in 30 seconds or less, this is what I learned from Mark today. We are our own way makers. We are our own dream creators. And all we have to do is to learn how to self-soothe, calm the central nervous system, and tap in and listen. Oof. Man, I hope you guys go this week and start practicing that now. Start to listen to that inner voice, because it may just get so strong that your life purpose unfolds, and then everything will never seem normal again. Or will it just be super normal? Maybe go forward and create divine experiences. But above all else, may you all go in love, light, and wisdom to know thyself, love thyself. And remember, the divine always has your back. Ciao.
Everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels normal, just hold on. Just hold on.